Underneath the hood of the CR-V, there are two different engine choices that are available. The default is a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine, which pushes out 190 horsepower and 179 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty respectable. But then you've got this, the 2 liter hybrid engine. And power-wise, inside of the hybrid, combined horsepower and torque, when you look at the 2 liter engine with the electric motor, 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty respectable. So I just dropped myself into sport mode. Let's get back up to highway speed in 3, 2, and... $100. All right. That's pretty respectable. Like for a little crossover. I did that. That's going to be pretty solid for most people. So if power is your thing, you're going to want to go for that 2 liter hybrid instead. But if you don't care about the fuel economy and the savings that you get, the 1.5 liter is still a pretty good option. Underneath the hood here, you can easily top up your wiper fluid, change your oil, and then there's also access to that smaller battery along the right-hand side. The CR-V hybrid is traditional, so there's no plug-in version available yet. I'd love to see that. But what that means is that as you go to drive, the motor is going to charge up the battery. You can actually see the power flow inside of the infotainment as well as the cluster screen. And then as you go to brake, it's going to use regenerative braking in order to capture some of that charge, in order to charge that battery up as well. Looking at the warranty inside of the Honda world, it's pretty industry standard. So your basic is a 3-year, 36,000 mile, 60,000 kilometer. Powertrain gets bumped up to 5 years, 60,000 mile, 100,000 kilometer. And then all of the hybrid EV components are covered for 8 years, 100,000 mile, 160,000 K. But just do yourself a favor and take care of your rides. So regularly scheduled maintenance and at least regular oil changes. Honda vehicles are known for lasting 3, 4, 500,000 miles plus, but you do have to take care of it if you want this ride to treat you right. You're going to find LED headlamps inside of this CR-V, which look pretty solid at night. And following that black highlight, the grille, beautiful glossy black with the Honda badge in the very middle. Technology-wise, there's the option for the forward sensing system, but no front-facing camera. So there's no 360 cam option in any trim level of the CR-V. And that's one thing that I think that Honda should absolutely incorporate into this ride, because if it's going up against things like the Ford Escape or even the Kia Sportage, those all have great available technology, including a 360 cam. This one is in the platinum white pearl, which is a color choice I normally wouldn't go for. But since it's got black highlights, like the blacked out mirror caps, blacked wheels, and some other unique highlights, that white on black combo looks pretty sharp. The only thing I would change is tinting these windows out a little bit more. Inside of the CR-V, you're going to find either 17, 18, or 19-inch wheels, depending on which trim level that you've gone for. This one has 19-inch wheels, and they're blacked out, and that look is solid. I'm a big fan of black wheels, and like I was saying, with this paint choice, the two of them just go together very nicely. Looking at the drivetrain inside of the CR-V, in Canada, we've only got one trim level that's front-wheel drive, versus down in the US, every trim level is available front-wheel drive, with the option of upgrading to an intelligent all-wheel drive system instead. In Canada, our hybrids are only going to be available all-wheel drive, which is not a bad thing, because if you live in Canada like me or in northern states where you get snow a few months out of the year, having all-wheel drive is so much better than front-wheel drive for those winter months. If you're the type of person that's adventurous, you do have the option for crossbars, so if you wanted to throw in some roof rack rails or carrier on top, you've got that flexibility. Getting inside the vehicle is straightforward, and there's a boatload of space. But, I mean, I'm 6 feet tall, more than easily get into the first row. And the second row is equally as easy, and you're going to find assist handles inside of the first and second row across all 4 doors. The Honda CR-V has the option for side view mirrors with LED turn signals. There's a blind spot monitoring system, so that's going to highlight if somebody enters the blind spot on either side. There's intelligent access, so as long as you've got the fob on you, you can push there to lock. Slide your hands in order to unlock. And along the door, you've got this little highlight that follows through parts of the dash. There's the option for driver seat memory in some trims, and then the buttons here are going to be the same across the board. So controls for your side view mirrors, your window controls with some storage. You can open the trunk, turn off traction control, and then your front defroster. It's a manual telescoping steering wheel across the whole vehicle lineup. And then these are the thermoplastic rubber trays you're going to find from the factory. And honestly, I recommend getting the trays because it's so much easier to clean them off. There are a few different types of seating material you're going to find inside of the CR-V with power adjustable seats. So forwards, backwards, up and down, adjust your backrest, and multi-way lumbar support. Ooh, a little startup here. This is nice. While this is starting up, there's so much to learn, but if you want an in-depth walkthrough of the steering wheel buttons, the cruise control system, the cluster, the infotainment, you'll find those down in the description of this video. But you've got a fully digital cluster screen. There's no head-up display available inside of the CR-V. Some trim levels of the CR-V have a heated steering wheel, but you've got the infotainment system here that features Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It's a really great system to use. Full screen available there as well. Some versions of the screen. So there are technically two different screen choices that are available. It's either going to be a 9-inch screen or there's a 7-inch screen instead. The 9-inch screen here is feature-packed, so is the 7-inch, but it's wired Android Auto Apple CarPlay in the smaller screen, wireless in this one, with backwards compatibility as well. There's the option for factory navigation inside of the ride. Power flow is here because this is the hybrid, so you can see what's going on with the battery as you drive. It's really neat. There's the option for heated first row seats, no ventilated, but you've got dual zone climate control. Basic climate control settings there with a USB and a USB Type-C power point. This one's plugged in to USB because I want you to listen to some audio. So there are 4 different speaker choices available inside of the CR-V. There's a 4-speaker, 6-speaker, 8-speaker, or 12-speaker Bose audio system. So this one is the upgraded Bose system. If you're an audiophile where you love your audio, you're going to want to go for the upgraded system. You've got a wireless charge pad inside of this ride, a series of selectable drive modes. So there is a sport mode, which is going to, so this is an ECVT transmission, so there are no set gears, but in the sport mode, what it's going to do is it's going to change up the shift points. So it might shift at a higher RPM, which means that it's going to give you a sportier performance. And then you've also got the option for economy or snow mode. So that's going to play with your traction stability control, specifically for the wintertime driving. But now you've got a lot of options here. There's an electronic parking brake. Brake hold is an interesting one. So with this one turned on, if you're in drive, you come down to a stop, take your foot off the brake, the car's not going to move. There are a few cup holders there. A good amount of storage inside of this with a removable tray. No power points in there, so it's just storage. You've got that same little highlight that you saw along the door following through the dash. A little honeycomb design here. I'm not too crazy about the design of this. I would probably 3M wrap it over certain spots, but it's kind of unique, a little different. There's a glove box, it's fully lockable. Good amount of space. The visibility inside of the ride is also pretty good. Overhead, there's an auto-dimming rearview mirror that you can turn off. Basic controls for your cabin lights. There's also the option for a little sunroof. So it's not full panoramic, but still kind of nice that's available. Single button press opens it up the full way. So it's pretty solid. Just opens things up nicely. I think when it's there, when it's closed, you can also push up if you wanted to create a little breeze instead. From there, there's a sunglasses holder. Overhead here, we don't have any sort of a ticket receipt holder on the outside or on the inside, but there's a vanity mirror that has a light built in. And this, oh yeah, there we go. Extends out to block all of the sun that might be hitting your face. There is a good amount of space inside the ride. I like that there's seat memory. And with the seat as far back as it's gonna go, what's that? 3.5? I'd call that a solid 3.5 inches of headspace. So not a ton of space, but I mean, if you're 6'4", 6'5", you'll probably comfortably be able to sit inside of this ride. And then you can easily reset your seat if you'd like. Second row, you've got that same little highlight we saw along the first row door. There's the option for second row heated seats, and that's heated on the outboard seat. So that middle seat would never be heated. It's basic window control with some door storage. Ooh, and space-wise back here. With the driver's seat set up for myself being 6 feet tall, inside of the second row, I've got a good amount of foot space, knee space, head space. I've got actually 2.5, almost 3 inches of space here. Not bad. And then one thing, got that little lever along the top there. So this little guy, in order to fold the seat down, but you can also give it a solid recline. Ooh, it's good. And then space-wise, I'd actually probably say maybe have the same 3, maybe 4 inches of space, depending on how you sit. So if you're 6'4", you'll probably comfortably be able to sit inside of the second row of the CR-V. And feature-wise back here, there are actually quite a few things. So I mentioned the outboard heated seats. There are some cup holders built right into the seat there as well. You've got a little map pocket behind the second row. Passenger side, there's a little handle on the passenger. The driver has a handle and a hook. Then there's an overhead light. Moving down low, you've got your HVAC controls, along with some USB power points. These are the thermoplastic rubber trays for the second row. And then for seatbelts, so you've got your outboard seatbelts there. This one is going to be for the middle seat. So there's this like little seatbelt that you kind of push in first, and then you just wrap around. But I'm not gonna lie, the middle seat, I should say, in the second row, I can fit, which is surprising, but it's not really a comfortable seat. Like I've maybe got an inch of headspace there, but the seat cushion it's kind of brutal. It's like the forgotten seat for every manufacturer. But you can always put kids back here if you wanted to, but getting 3 full-size adults that are my size, it would be a little bit tight. Not impossible, just tight. But either way, you've got anchor points there with your top tethers in behind the seats if you need them. You're gonna find LED tail lamps inside of the CR-V with the blinker setup looking pretty good. There's a dual tip exhaust, and then technology-wise, you're going to find the rear park sensing system, a backup camera, and the rear wiper. You do also have the flexibility of towing inside of the CR-V. The regular 1.5-liter turbocharged engine maxes out at 1,500 pound towing capacity, while the hybrid maxes out at 1,000 pounds. So it's not a ton that you can tow, but a small trailer, bike rack carrier, things like that, you'd be covered off here. Getting into the trunk of the CR-V can be done a few different ways. There's a button just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. You can use the key fob to do it. Just underneath the Honda badge in the back, there's a button there that you can push. And then there's also the option for a hands-free liftgate in some trims. And in order to use it, all you're gonna do is swipe your foot underneath. As long as you've got the key fob on you, up it goes. I love that feature, but there's only one downside to the foot-activated liftgates, is that if the sensors are covered in snow or dirt, mud, whatever the case may be, they won't work. But I mean, as you saw there are a ton of different ways to get inside of the trunk of this ride. Off to the right side, there's a little light and a woofer. The setup back there is going to depend on the trim level that you're in. And then along the left side, there's a 12-volt power point along with a light. This one has the little thermoplastic rubber tray you're gonna find from the factory, and these little guys are so useful. If you get muddy things back here, snow, whatever the case may be, it's so easy to just take this out and spray it down. And then one thing you're not gonna find inside of the hybrid is going to be a mini spare tire. But it does have an inflator kit. So along the left-hand side, there's a little cover that you can remove, and that's gonna show you the little white spigot along with the little inflator kit. You could always get a spare and then a jack stand yourself if you wanted to, but one of the nice things about being a Honda owner is that you have access to roadside assistance. So if you ever pop a tire, puncture a tire, if you need towing services to a Honda dealership, if you've locked yourself out, you need fuel delivery, so many things, even trip interruption, you have that coverage through Honda, and that's good for 3 years, 36,000 mile or 60,000 kilometers. It's just one of the added benefits of being a Honda owner. And then folding down the second row seats inside of the ride can be done from the trunk if you can reach it. because the seats can actually be reclined. So when you go to push down, you really got to kind of push yourself into the trunk in order to fold them down back here. But you can fold down the left or the right sides independently. And if you don't need to get into the trunk, not a big deal, because you can easily fold them down from the second row instead. And there's a great amount of cargo space inside of this ride. The measurements that you're looking at, specifically behind the first row seats, are going from right where the liftgate would close to just in behind that little armrest between the first row seats. So if the driver's seat, passenger seat in the first row, or back a little bit, or forwards, you gain or lose a little bit of extra space. And while it's not a completely flat fold for the trunk, it's still pretty solid amount of space back here. When you go to lift the seat up, it's actually kind of interesting. Since the seat can be reclined, when you go to lift it up, it's going to stop part way. So you just have to grab the little tab along the top in order to push it back into your ideal position. Filling up fuel inside of the CR-V is done along the driver's side. And one nice thing, when the door is locked, the fuel door is also locked. So you just have to unlock in order to get inside. And it's got anti-siphon technology built in. Minimum manufacturer's recommendation inside of the CR-V is just regular 87 octane. So regular gas is all you need to use inside of this ride, regardless of the engine that you look at. So the question of, is the hybrid even worth it, is going to depend on you. The hybrid version of the CR-V is more expensive than the regular gas version. You're also going to be able to save more fuel though in comparison. So if you can save 20% of your fuel costs per year, it could pay for itself in a couple years of ownership. So whether or not you decide to go for the hybrid is going to depend on if you've got the budget for the more expensive version of the vehicle, and also if you're okay with saving fuel and getting more power. But that's a question you have to answer for yourself. Take a look at the en route handling here. Here we go. All right. That's pretty good. Acceleration on it, it's pretty good. Getting up to highway speed here. No complaints. Handling in it is smooth so far. I do like how comfortable the seats are too. It's good. And the headrest is fairly comfortable inside of the ride. It's got a good amount of cushion. So you throw your head back. It's pretty comfy. Overall road noise, it's a little noisy. It's not bad though, like it's definitely doable. And you could always just blast the audio system if you wanted to drown out any sort of road noise, but it's not bad. And one thing is that the CR-V does not have full self-driving, but it does have the ability to be able to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane as you go around bends. If you lose focus for a second, you're gonna find the CR-V front-wheel drive standard and then all-wheel drive optional in the US, but all-wheel drive is pretty much the only choice in Canada. No complaints though, because the handling that you get inside of the ride is actually pretty good. Super responsive, which is nice. It's a crossover, sits up a little bit higher. So you do have to take that into account, especially if you're going to do some evasive maneuvers. But even looking at the overall turning radius inside of the ride, not bad. And then back up to speed. It's a nimble little bugger. I'll give it that for sure. So do you look at the Honda CR-V? It's going to depend on what you find important inside of your ride. The hybrid does have good fuel economy and it's got a good amount of power. It's missing some key pieces of technology though that you're going to find in other vehicles in this class. But either way, you can find a build link for this specific Honda, along with links off to Honda Canada, US, and all the tech walkthrough videos down in the description. But if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and until I see you next time, take care.